I don't know if you're the same, but I always have this grand list of things I'm going to get done in the garden whenever I visit. It could be just walking out into the back garden at home or driving up here to the allotment garden. I know I need to get this, that, and the other thing done. But all of that goes out the window the moment I have that first look around, because I notice this needs deadheading and that needs weeding. And before I know it, the entire day is gone, which isn't a bad thing. Today, I'm going to give you a look around the home garden and the allotment garden. So it's going to be a full, comprehensive tour of the gardens in June. But before we get to that, I have one task we need to do. It seems like such a long time since I planted these potatoes. There's more than just potatoes growing in here as well. This is a weed, but it's edible. It's called fat hen. Very well fertilized with all the composted manure I've put into this bed. But in any case, that was, 3 months ago? That was when I created the Victory Garden video. And all of this was just bare earth and potatoes planted under the ground around that time. Now I have three different types of potatoes planted here. There are first early varieties, like these home guard I have down here. And I have second early, main crop up there, and these are main crop here as well. And the difference being that first earlies are ready to dig up the entire plant in 10 to 12 weeks. And second earlies are about the same, but you plant them a little bit later, so a couple weeks later than first earlies, and then that way you can stagger the harvest. Main crop potatoes are the storing potatoes, so those are going to be your russets in the United States. And we leave them in until the end of summer, and they develop that firmer skin so that you can store them over the winter. But first earlies are my favorite, and they're also the easiest to grow here because you can harvest them before blight starts setting in, potato blight. And we had our first yesterday, and there's more in here as well. Tender potatoes. Wow, look at this. These are new potatoes, and they're the types you get in the shops about this time of the year, and they have very, very tender skin, so you don't need to peel them. You can roast them, mash them, boil them, and some different types of potatoes are better than others for various reasons, but these are great for both boiling and for roasting. Wow, there's so many on this one plant. I'm gonna have to show you in a sec. From this one potato plant, which you see is still very much leafy, very much green, I got this many new potatoes, and they're good size. They're not like little baby ones. So further up this patch in the distance where the purple flowers are, those are main crop potatoes. And if I dug them up right now, the potatoes on them would be teeny, teeny, tiny. Not worth it at all. Those ones take a lot longer to produce. So at the end of the summer, I'll dig those up. And those are the kind that you can set out to dry and then store for use all through the winter. While the potatoes are drying off at the bottom of the patch, let's have a look around the plots. We're up here at the top now, and these are the purple main crop potatoes. And you can see lots of flowers, and I've had quite a few people on Instagram get in touch, and they're a bit worried that their potatoes aren't flowering. Well, it comes down to the variety, and some of them will flower profusely, like these, and others don't flower at all. And a lot of them will fall somewhere in between, or they'll be like these ones here, where they just really form buds, and then the buds just start to drop. And we don't really breed potatoes for the flowers anymore. Originally, they were brought to Europe as an ornamental because the flowers are pretty. But now we can't really rely on our potatoes to produce them, but don't worry. Just dig them up after the time that they're supposed to be in the ground and they'll be ready to go. Next to the potatoes are a couple of gooseberries, and I've been seeing lots of people harvesting their gooseberries. I'm just gonna test to see if mine are ready. Still very hard, so I'll leave them to grow a bit more. And actually, gooseberries, you can leave them on the bush for quite a while. So if you're ever in doubt, just leave them. And I don't really have problems with birds getting to mine, unlike the currants. So the red currant here and the black currants on the other side are all starting to ripen. You can see the color start to fill in. And I'm going to have to get these netted very soon, especially the black currants, because birds will strip these completely. And you can see lots of them are starting to turn color. And actually, I spot some ripe ones down here. Black currants are one of those berries that are not to everyone's liking fresh, but as soon as you start cooking with them, they are amazing. There's more down here. And then the last one here is a josta berry. And I have a video, which some of you will already know. Oh, there's the potatoes. And that video shares many of the different types of berries that I have growing here at the allotment. So check that out if you haven't seen it already. Now here I have all of the brassicas, pretty much. And they're growing really well, thankfully. And that's down to having this netting over them, because the netting will keep butterflies and birds out for the most part. But you do have to keep an eye on netting, because when I arrived at the allotment this morning, there was a little bird inside my cage here. And I walked around and I found a little hole over here. So the netting had actually come apart and a bird had gotten in. So thankfully, I was here and I let it out and it flew out just fine. And because I had the netting so tight, it wasn't getting caught in it. So when you use netting, be very, very careful, because animals can get trapped inside or in the netting itself. So check it regularly. I don't usually bring you to the bottom of the plot here, but I want to show you all of the blackberries. There are tons this year. And if it keeps up with the warm sun and plenty of rain, they'll be super juicy. And just beyond there, you can see the garlic is ready to dig as well. Beyond this beetroot plant that's starting to set seed, which I'm going to collect, I have lots of garlic. And this variety here is more than ready to dig up. And the reason I haven't dug it up yet has just been time. But I think it needs to come up now. Look at that. This, I have no idea what the variety is, because it came from the supermarket. And I just bought a large clove, about that size, split it up, and grew it on. And it looks like it's grown successfully. We'll have to have a look in a sec. And then these here, these are from garlic that I saved from last year. And they're not quite ready. You dig up garlic when the first two leaves are yellow. So that one has turned yellow. This one is starting to turn. So as soon as that gets a little bit more yellow, I'll dig all the garlic up. I put in a small patch of leeks here. They're all doing fine. And the beans, look at these guys. They are just roaring up their new netting. And so I've got runner beans and French beans in here. And then down here at the end, there's the achoka. And they love to just go their own way. So you do have to bring them back and put them to where they're supposed to grow. But if all goes well, there's going to be so many beans in achoka very soon. Next to it, under the fleece, are the pumpkins, or some of them at least. And the fleece here, a lot of people use fleece to warm the soil. But with this, it's really just to protect those leaves from wind and also from direct rain. And they look like they're doing just fine. Next to it, we have the New Zealand yams. These are oca. Next to the dahlias. And the wildlife area is just in full bloom. And there are frogs in here and tadpoles. And let's see if we can spot any. The last time I was here, there was a little frog that had its little snout sticking up out of the water. No, I don't really see anyone today, but there are plenty of frogs about. The top two beds up here are various different flowers and herbs that can be used in cooking and skincare and medicinally. And I've noticed that there have been dozens of ladybirds all on the chamomile, and I don't see any now. It was much earlier in the morning that I spotted them. Oh, wait, look, here's one. Look at her. And they seem to be loving it. So if you are short of ladybirds or ladybugs in your garden, consider growing some German chamomile because it seems to be a magnet. In this bed, I have lots of lavender and calendula. That big thing in the center, that is a rosemary, and it was a small plant last year. It's going to get massive, and plenty of time too, and all of the time survive the winter here. So that's a good sign. And then the lavender I have down here, this is a hybrid. This is Lavender Intermedia. It's called Edelweiss is the name of the variety. And if you want to learn more about growing and harvesting lavender, I have a video you should check out. I've been picking loads of strawberries recently, and I don't think that there's any left in there, or just maybe a couple, because I've been picking them before all of the rain we've had recently. Strawberries always taste better on a warm, dry day. As soon as it starts raining and they fill up with water and they lose a lot of flavor. And then up here, ooh, I think I've spotted the first of the golden raspberries. Look at that. Let's see if there's any red ones. These are all autumn type raspberries. So they start actually producing more in August, but they occasionally throw out an early berry. The allotment is looking so good right now. And there are berries forming on the bushes, there are roots growing under the ground, beans climbing, and there are going to be squash and pumpkins galore. Let's head home now though, and let's check out the jungle of greens that awaits us in the home garden. In the home garden, everything is growing by leaps and bounds, especially greens, and we have far more salad than we can eat. I'm sowing more because this won't last that much longer, so we're eating as much as we can, and then I will be replanting with quite a lot of new lettuce, and there's some newer stuff in here as well. This is a new lettuce for me. This is Devil's Tongue, which is really nice, and red salad bowl in the back. It's the last of the coriander, and I'll be resowing that soon. And these are some new radishes that I've just put in a couple of weeks ago. More greens, even more. And the carrots that are in the pallet planter, look at how much they've grown. I'm going to have to thin them very soon, but I think they're going to love living in this really deep planter. It gets enough sun as well. I was concerned about that, but I think that it's going to do just fine. The corner bed is really filling up. We've had plenty of sun recently and now plenty of rain, and actually quite a few plants are kind of flopping over because of it. This is a perennial onion, and you'll see the peas in a moment as well, but everything that's green and leafy has been loving all the moisture we've been getting recently, including all of these different mints. This is chocolate mint. This is strawberry mint. This is my favorite. It actually smells like strawberries. This is apple mint. This is the one that chefs prefer. And spearmint, so also called garden mint. Let's go up the steps and check out the upper part of the garden. So in my last video, I shared how to build this herb spiral, and it's really starting to fill in. I mean, even so much so that you can barely see some of the compost on the top. And that's the idea, is that I want to cover all of the soil. That will help with erosion, and it will maximize the use of this space. The raised beds are practically heaving right now, and it's mainly leaves that you can see, but there's some flowers over there too. This bed is the one that I've most recently planted up, and it has all different types of squash, including some summer squash, so zucchini down there on the end, so this one here. And I noticed that I'm going to be getting my first one very soon. The one on the back is a patty pan. And then I have the squashed mashed potato and baked potato in the back. And I think this one is uchiki kuri. Let me look at the label. Labels are really helpful. Yep, there we go. And then this one here, this one is a little bit of a risk. It is apparently a Tonda pumpkin, but it's from self-saved seed that I got at the seed swap this year. And I notice that there's something forming there, and it doesn't quite look the same shape as a pumpkin, to my eye at least, and it's quite bushy, so I imagine that someone's pumpkin got cross-pollinated with their courgette and they saved the seed, but we'll see. I'm going to give it a chance. I had this bed almost completely planted up with Asian vegetables, but also spinach and lettuce here on the side, and a lot of the Asian greens are starting to bolt right now. We're still eating them. The flavor isn't as impacted. It's not bitter like lettuce can be when it starts bolting, and the flowers are edible too. Those stems are really flexible and tender. So we're still trying to make our way through those. And in the meantime, whenever I have a patch that's open, I'm replanting it with vegetables. And in this case, there's some chard down there. This spinach down here, I'm really impressed with. And I was sent some seeds last year, and I just sowed them because I had them. But it's a type of spinach called Helios, and it is the most bolt-resistant spinach I've ever seen. All of my other spinach is now gone because it's just too warm for it, but this is still on the go. Let's come round the roses and have a look at these two beds. Now, the raised bed here on the left, I have it completely planted up with greens and carrots, and on the left are two different heritage varieties of kale. So this is a palm kale, and that's from the Real Seed Company, and Uncle Bert's purple kale, and this is through the seed sharing exchange with Garden Organic. And I hope to save some of the seeds from it this next year. Through the center I have loads of carrots, and the palm kale just keeps smothering them, so I've been picking the leaves back. And then to the left I've got various lettuces. There's some self-seeded nasturtiums in there that I'm not sure if I'm going to pull out or not. And then I've got more coriander down here. So this is called cilantro. It's difficult sometimes making these videos because I know so many people in the States watch, and also a lot of people from Britain as well, and there are different English words for the same exact thing. So bear with me, guys. This is my rookie mistake of the year, and I don't think it's a failure, but it has taught me a little bit of a lesson. It's a purple pea called purple magnolia, and you can see it's starting to set some pods here. And I chose it for the color, and I didn't look at how tall it can grow. So it can grow to 150 to 180 centimeters, so that's 5 to 6 feet. And it was doing just fine, but then we had lots of rain, and it grew so tall that it just flopped over. So I have this very elegant structure in place to kind of hold it in place, and so it doesn't flop and break, and so that I actually get some peas from it. I like the height of it, but I'm not sure that it is ideal for a small backyard garden. So if I grow this again, I'll put it out in the allotment. The potatoes in the bags are doing great, and there's even some flowers. These two bags here on the end, they're a second early called Charlotte, I think. I may be wrong. I'll have to look at the label. And as you know, there are plenty of potatoes in the allotment, so I'll leave these to grow on for a bit longer. These ones over here are purple potato, and I can tell because I can see the purple streaking on the stem. And also the flowers are purple as well. Now let's go have a look at what's in the greenhouse. These sweet peas are growing. This apple tree is absolutely laden in apples. It's going to be a good year. A lot of them have dropped, and I'll be picking some of them off just to make sure that the others will grow nice. And it's actually getting a little bit too big. I can barely get into the greenhouse. I have to prune that down in the winter. And as usual, my greenhouse is packed. The tomatoes are doing great and they're growing up their strings. So as they grow, I'm picking out these little side shoots like that one there, just so that they'll focus more on producing fruit and just growing along the string. And then down here, I've got various little pots of things, some citrus that I'm trying to get to recover. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this. A friend last year gave me a small avocado plant that she had grown from one of the seeds, and they don't grow well here. So I need to find someone who's going on holiday down south to Spain or something to take it with them and plant it. This is another lemon. These here are oca that I had planted, well, I currently have planted in little pots, and these need to be planted out. And I'm trying to grow green beans in here, and I think it's just a bit too warm in here because the leaves are a bit damaged. I'm pretty sure that's sun scorch, but you know, they were extras from the allotment, and you win some, you lose some. And there are some more seeds and plants over here. These are leeks that need to go out. I've got my purple sprouting broccoli in here, and as soon as I clear those Asian vegetables out and the lettuce, those are going to go out there. I may have to repot these on into slightly larger pots soon though. And then over here, behind these gigantic horseradish leaves, another plant I don't know what to do with. I have a melon, which has grown to the extent of its pole, and I'm thinking about extending some string somehow up here to the top, maybe a clip up here to hold it in place. I'm not quite sure yet. I just kind of make decisions on the go as I see how plants do. 2 cucumbers, and this one is the crystal lemon type, and it has really shot off. This one is a relatively new transplant. The first cucumber I put in here got damaged, I think by slugs, and the stem was busted one day, and so I had to replace it. I almost forgot to wish you a happy summer solstice. Yay! First day of summer, longest day of the year, and the gardens are certainly reflecting that peak of light, and if you're lucky, just the right amount of rain to make the leaves green and lush and everything fill out and feel alive. I hope you enjoyed walking around the gardens with me today, and I'll be back next time with another garden video, and I'm thinking about doing another harvest video, so walking around and seeing what there is to dig and pick for dinner. Let me know if you think that would be something that you'd like to watch. And also, let me know how your gardens are doing this time of the year with a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching Lovely Greens, and I'll see you then. Bye for now. One last thing before you go. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to Lovely Greens and click that little bell icon so that you get notifications for when new videos are out.